Hello, everybody. I'm Mundo, your one and only man of world.
And with him today is the illustrious Humulos.
Today, we are doing an analysis on the gameplay demo of Zelda U.
Yeah, we had a surprise demo yesterday at the Game Awards. There's a lot of information in there, so we're just going to jump right into this.
Okay.
Right away, we see the first screen. There's a lot that we can gather from that. Same blue Link that we saw at the reveal trailer is there, wearing those same blue clothes. He's got that ponytail. Still kind of hard to see in this shot, but you'll see it better later. We also see what is a absolutely beautiful landscape here. Right now it's sunrise, so if you sunset. Yes, it's 1900 hours. So it's sunset right now. So you see like the really dynamic lighting there. Later on, you'll see it without the sun to really kind of be able to take in the amount of colors that there are.
Yeah, definitely. Some key points on the screen. We do see a lookout tower up there on the cliff, and we do see an orange flag here, which you said reminded you of the Gerudo flags in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, definitely. Probably coincidental. I doubt that really means anything, but in this case, they're probably just there to denote enemies or something.
Yeah, if it was my guess, I would just be like, hey, there's an outpost here, there's a lookout tower. Might be some like replenishment hearts or ammo or something like that.
Right.
We do also see a very minimal HUD. That's just probably because it's a demo. This is probably not a real point in the game. Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so right there in the top left, we see we got the hearts and what appears to be the return of the magic meter. Last time we saw the magic meter was in Wind Waker, and since then we've seen stamina meters and other such things. But from what I can see from the overall trailer, I'm assuming that this is going to be the actual magic meter.
And at no point in the trailer, or in the demo rather, do we see this meter going down or up. It stays static, so it's very likely a magic meter.
Right. Okay, so moving on in the trailer
Today,
here.
why don't we show a glimpse of how the
You
new
will
Zelda
notice
game
that
is
Aonuma is using the
Sure.
gamepad to control this. We're back to traditional Zelda controls, not the motion controls.
So right here, you'll see that Link is running past the lookout tower
Oh, wow.
and up to this cliff. Just mentioning that briefly because you would get a better view from the lookout tower, but we think there's a good reason they chose the cliff for two good reasons. One, just to show up that there will be a lot of natural scenes like this where you can just look over the landscape, and also because they want to show off the sailcloth here in a second.
Right, and as they mentioned in the reveal trailer as well, you're going to be able to go just about anywhere, and they're really demonstrating that here. Everything you're looking at is a spot you can go. Like, they just ran up this cliff. We're going to see them jump off here in a second. And what to help you with that, to help you go anywhere, they show off the this first-person view right here that's going to not only give you the first-person view, but also zoom in, meaning it looks like it's some kind of item.
Yeah, it's definitely a telescope or binocular or something like that, just given the round circle. And you can see here that Aonuma is controlling it using the gamepad's motion controls.
And so look in, and when you see a spot that you want to go, you look straight at it, hit a button, and boom, beacon, just like from Skyward Sword.
Yeah, and you can see that the beacon is now gone. So that means that you won't be able to see the light shining up in the game itself. So you'll only be able to see it on the map.
Which the map, as most people can expect, is right there on the gamepad screen. It's a very cool looking map, very classically designed. Right off the bat, we see that Link is a little green arrow on there. There's a couple of other markers on the map as well. To the right of him appears to be a little house, meaning it's probably a village. And to the left, it's hard to make that one out as a marker. You'll see it better as we zoom in and out. But it's some lump with the number 1 next to it.
Yeah, it's definitely an icon. You'll see the both that icon and the town icon maintain their size as they zoom in and out. Whereas, obviously, if it was part of the terrain, that would be zoomed as well. We're gonna have a look here to the left of the screen. We see a bunch of HUD icons.
Yeah, we got the basic ones. We got your zoom in, zoom out. The icon below those, not sure what it does. We speculate that It could be one of a few things. My first guess was a little directory to show you all your different locations on the map. Aubrey, you had some good ideas about that too, though.
Yeah, I had two main thoughts. One of them was that you could, as you can see, there's a red cross there. That's the beacon that Anuma placed just by looking at a place and tapping the button.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say you want to place a beacon somewhere you can't see. Like, let's say there's a mountain in between you and the place you want to go. So maybe you can just press that button and place a beacon on the map. So it would be less accurate, but it would do the trick. Another one could be that maybe you can make your own notes. So you tap that icon and you tap like a place, maybe the town, and then you can make a little note saying like, hey, there's an NPC here that needs a bottle of fresh water or whatever it may be. We had a similar thing in Spirit Tracks and Phantom Hourglass where you could make notes on the map. So that would be really nice to see that returning.
For sure, that's my preferred of those theories. That's the one I want the most, just because as an exploration game, the original Legend of Zelda, you had to take a lot of notes to figure out what you were doing. So to have that feature in this one again, which is slated to be much more similar to the original Zelda, would be incredibly helpful. Moving on to the rest of the icons, we got some basic stuff like a battery icon to help you manage your very long playthroughs. Remember, gamepad only gets about 3 to 5 hours of battery, so be careful.
Yeah, and I much prefer having a very visible icon right there than having a FI popping up telling you, Master, your batteries are low, replace them at the earliest opportunity, whatever.
Yes.
Speaking of help, there is a question mark, probably something like a legend telling you, hey, that icon that we don't know what it is, here's what it means.
We have the time right at the top of the screen there. Right now it's showing 1900 hours or 7 p.m. Very likely that's the in-game time to help you know when to do things. And then the last things we see on this map screen, we see a compass, because you gotta know which way to go, I guess.
If you look at the beacon that was placed on the tower there, I'm gonna just go back to. You can see that it's on top of cliffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there seems to be, if you look at the map here, only one way to approach it because it's right next to the river. You can only approach it from the south.
Right.
So that could be a thing too, where someone tells you, "Hey, you want to go here? You can only approach it from this direction."
Yeah, most definitely. And then the last icon we see there, it's very likely just a subscreen icon. Click on that to get to your inventory, your settings, all that stuff.
Yeah, very likely just something that you switch from your map to your inventory and back again.
Right.
So we're going to see them zoom in and out here in a second.
You'll see the icons all stay the same size there.
Yeah, and right now they zoomed in. You can see that the zoom in button is now gone, which means that this is as close in as you'll get, and you can see kind of exactly where that town or house or whatever it is located exactly.
Yeah, it looks like they also marked trees, if that's what all those little black circles are.
Yeah.
So.
You can also zoom out and further out. It's a huge world. We haven't even
And
seen the
then
world yet.
right here, this is what appears to be the entire world. They zoomed out. There's no more option to zoom out anymore. The map doesn't extend past the left or right of the screen. This is likely the entire world, unless there's other regions that we don't know about that have different maps. But as far as this map goes, this is what we've got. So
this is the entire thing, but that is still a huge map.
Massive.
And we estimated earlier, just based on some comments, that it might take somewhere along 45 minutes to travel from one end to the other. But that's just based on guessing. We do see a cool few things here. Obviously, we have an ocean to the east and to the south. And to the north, we seem to have a very mountainous terrain, and what you said could be lava there.
Mm-hmm. Right, and so very well maybe that's our current Death Mountain, and there's even a little lake with the shape of a skull there. Maybe those two islands are Spectacle Rock. Who knows? But
yeah. We also see another island to the very southeast of the map,
mm-hmm.
and so that means there's probably going to be some sort of sea transportation. But we can see that there is shallow water kind of connecting the island region to the main region. There's a small passage of shallow water. So I'm guessing that maybe you can just swim or use some sort of light, some kind of small boat that wouldn't be able to traverse they wouldn't be able to traverse heavier waves, so you need to stay on the shallow waters. That's our speculation, but it seems most likely at this point, because if you could just fly there or teleport there or get a lift or something, there wouldn't need to be that small passage of shallow water.
Right. And then the last thing to mention here about this map is the way it's colored is a way that's not been done in the Zelda game really before. It's colored by the elevation. So you'll see the darker areas are lower points, while the lighter areas are higher points, showing you where's the mountains, where's the valleys. A really cool way to do it. It makes it a lot more like a more realistic map.
So here they're going to go. We have a sailcloth, and you can see here also, I think that Link seemed to be carrying his quiver with arrows very on his lower back.
Yeah.
That's kind of sticking out there a little bit.
Right.
And then sends down there. All right, we see here there's a quick shot of some vines, meaning that, first of all, probably not all mountains are scalable. Like they said, you can go about anywhere in the world, but you might need a vine to climb up the side of the mountain.
We can also see the same tower that we saw before in the distance, and if you look at the perspective we saw it in before and to what we see now, we can tell that they have been moving to the left.
We see some torches, probably not anything super significant about those. They're torches.
No.
We see a horse, and Miyamoto says, "Oh, Epona," so which Aonuma doesn't deny.
Yeah, quickly, just about the torch. It could be that the torches are used to show, oh, here's a main path, which could be very useful in nighttime to see, oh, there are torches over there. That means there's a main path over there.
For sure. And then here we have the densely wooded area, which I do not agree with Miyamoto on that statement of it being densely wooded. Probably not going to be an actual forest area like the Lost Woods or something, just a plains with trees. But we get a lot of information here about the mechanics of horse riding. And firstly, we see controls. We see left stick for movement. Right bumper is something I don't know what that says. And then A button says go, meaning go faster, it would seem.
Probably, yeah.
And the best thing, though, about the new horse mechanics is that you'll notice that Aonuma does not use the control stick very much, as Miyamoto points out, because Epona moves forward on her own and dodges trees on her own, just like any sensible real horse would do.
I would also like to point out that we do see an R button, but we don't know what that does yet.
Right.
Speculation, I think it could be jumping off the horse, because we do see that later in the gameplay demo that Link can jump off the horse, so I'm speculating that that's what it is.
That very well could be it. So, yeah, as you see here again, he's not really controlling Epona as much as he is guiding her, because she's really doing most of the movement right now. So you can kind of show her which direction to go, and she just takes care of the rest, which is a very welcome addition, because it does let you do a lot of other things while moving, like sword fighting right here.
Yeah, so here we see sword fighting, and you can see that Aonuma is pressing what seems to be the Y button to swing the sword.
Which is weird for a Zelda game, but whatever.
Yeah. And you can see that Link is right-handed, which you'd think would be a bit weird, because if it's button-controlled and not motion-controlled, why would he be right-handed and not left-handed?
Right.
So you can point to the Wind Waker versus Skyward Sword, for instance. So my theory on this is that you can actually probably use both. The reason I think that is because we haven't seen any sort of features that you really need the gamepad to use. Mm-hmm. So in Pikmin, for instance, if you remember in Pikmin 3, you could use the motion controls to control what you were doing, but still use the gamepad as a map. And we haven't seen any gamepad-specific uses. I mean, we've seen some motion controlling, but you could do that with a Wii Remote as well. So I'm thinking that they might have motion controls in this game as well. Now, it will probably not be as advanced as they were in Skyward Sword, just because, you wouldn't necessarily be able to map that to buttons. But it is possible that they could have two separate buttons, like one for horizontal slice and one for vertical slice, for instance. We might be able to see some sort of Twilight Princess kind of motion controls, which is why they would still want to have Link be right-handed.
Right. All right, so he raises his shield there for a second. He didn't push a button to do that, so that actually might just be an animation.
Yeah, we could not see that Aonuma was pressing any buttons to make Link raise his shield, so it could just be like a short animation thing. It could just mean nothing.
Yeah. And then we'll see here using ZR, you're able to shoot arrows. You start off with 100, which is a completely ridiculous amount of arrows. And
Was it 100?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is 100. So,
You can take time.
but what's more interesting about this display here, about this arrow HUD, is the D-pad options. You can see that what appears to be up and down options.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw in the original reveal trailer that Link using like some sort of magical explosive arrow,
Mm-hmm.
where this is a common arrow. So you can probably change types of arrows, and that gives me personally hope that we'll see some of the fire arrows or light arrows or ice arrows make a return. That would be great.
Yeah, for sure. So Miyamoto is about to point out that there's a lot of insects and wildlife right here. We don't see any right here, but we will see some of them later. He also mentions how the trees grow apples. He had apples in A Link to the Past and A Link Between Worlds, which healed hearts, so assuming they do the same thing here.
Yeah. And so Anuma said, let's go to a place where we can shoot at enemies. And Anuma says, oh, this looks suspicious. We must be near a dungeon. And Anuma kind of says,
Near a dungeon.
Just grunts at him. And then, sure enough, boom, our target activates, and there's some probable bokoblins.
Yeah, so there's a lot to talk about here. First off, yeah, those enemies, they kind of seem bokoblin-like. A bit taller, though. They seem to be about the same height as Link.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of have a pig/bat face. They remind me a lot of the kind of fox-like enemies in the Minish Cap
Mm-hmm.
that had no shield and just one sword. I don't know what those were called.
Keatons.
Keatons, okay. Yeah, that's what they remind me of. But yeah, there we go. So what happened here was that Anuma said, let's go to a place where we can find enemies. And they went into this suspicious-looking kind of gate monument, and there were enemies there. So that means, that can mean a lot of things, but it definitely means that there won't be enemies everywhere. So when they were running around before, we didn't see a single enemy. So that just seems to me that you can only find enemies in certain areas marked by these gates.
Right.
And he said, there's probably a dungeon nearby. Anuma was very vague, saying like he didn't really say yes or no, but it could just be lost in translation. He might just be like, yeah. We don't know for sure yet. But what could this mean? This could mean some very cool and interesting things.
For sure.
So, yeah, if you can only find enemies within certain areas, there might be that somewhere in that area is a dungeon or a temple radiating out evil energy within that area, making it possible for these monsters to appear.
And if that's true, like you're saying, I mean, that would be absolutely amazing. Because one thing about the original Zelda, it's not exactly an accessible game for most modern gamers. Most people nowadays are used to people telling them where to go, how to get there. Zelda 1 was all about figuring it out on your own and just traveling around and exploring. And in order to kind of meld those two things together, that would be a great method. You have clues like that to show you where dungeons may be without overtly telling you this is where you have to go.
Exactly. So in the original Legend of Zelda, some dungeons you need to like bomb a rock or burn a bush to just find like a very secretive passageway.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have it something like that here too, where it's like, all right, somewhere in this area is a hidden dungeon. Like now you go out to find it, which is so much more exciting than going to a very obvious place and then Fai's like, Master, bring out your harp and play a song, and then the dungeon appears and it's like, Master, look, there's the dungeon. Why don't we go inside? Like, okay, I get it. So I really do hope that that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be other things too, that there just are certain areas that are more dangerous than others naturally. We don't know for sure yet.
Right.
Something else I want to point out about these areas is that in the reveal trailer, we saw an enemy, the big octopus-like enemy that chased Link, running out in what appears to just be an open field. In that trailer, there was what seemed like a goat herder and some goats there that didn't seem like they would hang out in an enemy-infested area. So it could be that there are some probably more larger and more powerful enemies that can get outside of these enemy zones.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of changes things up a bit. So you can ride around and then, oh, there's a big enemy chasing me now.
Which would be great because we didn't see a whole lot of stuff on the overworld so far. It could just be because this is a demo, but if there really isn't a lot of stuff going on, random enemy encounters like that would be cool to shake things up.
Yeah, and I assume they did something similar in Twilight Princess, where you could ride on the empty Hyrule Field, but then there would be boars coming at you with riders kind of out of nowhere. So it's probably something like that
for sure.
Oh, no.
And we see Link shooting at the bokoblins here. He's using his bow, and it makes a metallic sound. Not quite a tink like bouncing off a shield, but it's still definitely metallic in nature, which is weird because normally metallic sounds are associated with missing or hitting something wrong.
Yeah, and this is actually the only thing that I don't like about this gameplay demo. If I hear a metallic sound, I'm going to think that my arrow was deflected by a sword or by a shield or armor or something.
Right.
But in this case, it means there's a hit. So I really hope that they do change that.
Now, in the reveal trailer, one thing that was shown was, Link jumping off his horse and shooting this big octopus thing, possibly an Arkarok, who knows. But it was like really cool looking, and after the trailer came out, they announced that was all done in-engine and that was actual gameplay. And most of us were just like, how is that actual gameplay? Are you ridiculous? But here we see exactly how it's actual gameplay. So as you're riding around, you come up to an enemy, boom, you jump off, you freeze at time pretty much, and shoot down your enemy. It's a really cool looking effect and a really neat way to kind of like transition from riding into a battle.
Yeah, and it is also making the game a bit more action oriented, or at least you have the possibility, because bullet time is something that's pretty common in certain shooters.
Right.
So it's pretty cool to see Zelda implemented as well in this fashion. So now they're talking about going to the destination again, which, if you remember, is the tower they saw before. Mm-hmm. And Anuma mentions that it's about 4 or 5 minutes away.
It'll still take.
Right. So they definitely weren't taking a straight path because it seemed much closer in the original scene. So
yeah, definitely
they're going around.
And they do a cut here, so we don't know where that enemy area was on the map, but we're going to speculate a bit because here you can see that this seems to be maybe they're exiting. You see these 2 gate-looking things that indicate an enemy area. Mm-hmm. I don't know if these are the same ones that they just came across, or if these are at the other end of the area they just rode into.
Yeah, maybe.
But to the left there, you can see what appears to be the tower that they were looking at before.
Yes.
Right.
And we're going to see that even more clearly here. And you can see that leading up to the tower, it's a nice slope. It's a nice hill. And if you look at the original, going back here to the original point of view, you can see that there were basically cliffs all around, and like we pointed out, you can pretty much only approach it from one area. You can only approach it from the south. So it's very likely that they've taken quite a detour here, and that the enemies that we just saw were fought somewhere around here, and they're now traversing north towards the tower.
Yeah. All right, so we're about to get a good look at the wildlife that they were talking about.
Yeah, not Star Fox.
Not Star Fox.
By the way, do you think, because remember how in Ocarina of Time there was like you can enter a debug mode, and how they had these Star Fox ships as sea target thingies in Ocarina of Time? Do you think the reason that they're mentioning Star Fox here is because there might be some sort of similar, maybe a minigame or just an Easter egg?
As hilarious as that would be, I really just think it's just just mentioning, because they're talking mostly about release dates. He's like, is this still going to be released next year? And sure enough, they say, yeah, it is. And then he's like, what about Star Fox?
But if there are R-Wings in this game, that would be cool.
That would be awesome. Maybe that's how you get around.
Star Fox will arrive.
So there you see the horses there on the right. And if you look on the left as we approach this rock, standing on top of the rock is what appears to be a deer, just sitting there, not minding that someone's racing towards him.
Yep.
I speculate that since deer is a very commonly hunted animal, that there could be a hunting mechanic in this game where you'll go and hunt down the deer, kill them, eat them, all that kind of thing.
We've seen a lot of grass in this game, but it's not the kind of grass that appear to be cuttable. So it could be that recovery hearts are no longer found in grass, or maybe that sort of grass or bush are much rarer now, and that you actually have to hunt animals to replenish your hearts. it makes the game seem a lot more Elder Scrolls-esque, where you have to
Okay,
kind of
yeah.
hunt for food and stuff like that. We also see this in the distance, this kind of structure that seems to be some sort of man-made building, maybe a temple or a gate of some kind, or maybe even a dungeon. I don't know, but it's something at least.
Right.
Right
So
you are.
We're gonna see us get closer here
we've made a
to
number.
both
There goes the
that
deer.
structure, and we're closer to the deer. We're saying a deer. I don't know. It could be an elk or a moose or whatever.
yeah, it's
some
hard.
sort of creature.
It's hard to tell from the tiny screen they're giving us.
And it now feels
But
pretty
we come up on the
familiar.
horses. They all run away. They look amazing. Not sure if we can like tame horses or what, or if there'd even be a need
It'd be
to.
really
And we worked
cool
out
if you could
someplace where we
tame
felt improvements were
other
necessary.
horses as
Yeah.
well.
That's
So
right.
they run off.
10 years now.
We're gonna see one more animal, likely another
3-day
deer,
system is intact.
up here. So there's definitely a
And
there's definitely a good amount of wildlife in this game.
You could even
Good amount of
call
stuff to
it setting like
find.
this.
And then
Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. There's a shot. This deer seems to be a bit more orange. I don't know if that's another kind of animal or just they have different color variations like the horses have.
yeah, hard to say, but
Well, that's
so but yeah, that's pretty much everything that there is in the trailer. So a lot of really good stuff that they showed off. Really unexpected again. Happy that they showed us to it. I wasn't expecting anything else this year.
Yeah, I didn't either, and there's a lot of things to speculate about. Obviously, that's why this video is so freaking long.
Hmm.
But no, it's interesting though because when you first said to me, "Hey, let's do an analysis," I was like, what's there to analyze? There wasn't that much. That's not obvious." But no, there's a lot actually.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm happy that's the case.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. And we probably missed some stuff too, by the way. So this Wednesday, as usual, we've been doing our Zelda Matters show, where you can call in, talk to us about whatever you want Zelda related. This Wednesday, I'm pretty sure the topics are going to be mostly centered around this reveal trailer. So if you have questions about what you've seen, or if you have things that you noticed that we didn't that you want to tell us, please, this Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, call into our show. You can find it on our YouTube channel or on our Google Plus page. And
who uses Google Plus? Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure to leave us a comment, and we'll see you on Zelda Matters this Wednesday.
all right.
I'm Amerdemundo, your one and only man of world, and for all updates on Zelda U, stay tuned to ZeldaUniverse.net.
Bye, everybody.
See ya!